Hi guys, welcome to So Crafty Nana. My name is Teresa, and today I'm going to show you how to make one of these adorable little pouches for your utensils for your Thanksgiving table. So a few housekeeping items before we get started. I am an independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up! And so you will notice that most of the products that I use are Stampin' Up! Products, but you can use whatever you have in your house, in your craft supply to make these items. I just really want to show you the technique of how to make them, and then you can make them your own. I will link in the description below my blog post, which will have the measurements and description for, or instructions for how to put these together. And it'll also give you a supply list so you can see all of the supplies that I use, and there will be some links there if you wish to shop for those as well. So let's get started. All right, so these are examples of the project that we're going to be making today. So you can see I've just decorated each one of them a little bit differently, put the flatware in a little bit differently, and there's so many options that you can do with this. So you can do die cuts like I have, you can do stamping, you can layer cardstock, put sentiments. There's so many things you can do. So I'm going to set these to the side and we'll go ahead and get started. So we're going to be using copper clay cardstock today. So I've got one piece of 8.5 by 11 copper clay cardstock, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut this. I'm going to put it in with the 11-inch side, and I'm going to cut it at 4 inches. And I will go ahead and make sure that I have the measurements here on the screen for you that you can take a screenshot when we finish cutting and scoring everything. And then I'm going to cut this off 1 inch. So I'm measuring 1 inch on this side of my trimmer along this 1-inch side here. And I'm just going to trim that off, and that's scrap. And so this is my 4-inch by 7.5-inch piece. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to score that at 1/2 inch. Make sure that this is in frame. 1/2 inch and 3/4 inch, and I'm measuring on this side of my trimmer. So I've got a score line at 3/4 inch and 1/2 inch just from one end of that 7-inch side. I'm going to set that aside, and I'm going to take the rest of my cardstock here, and I'm going to cut a piece at 4.5 inches, and that's scrap. And then I'm going to take this 4.5-inch piece and I'm going to cut that down to 5.5 in the other direction. So I've got a 4.5 by 5.5-inch piece, and then I'm going to go ahead and score it with my scoring blade. And again, I'm measuring on this side of my trimmer at 1/2 inch and 3/4 inch. And then I'm just going to go ahead and turn this around and do 1/2 inch again on the other end and 3/4 inch. So those are the measurements that you have to remember. These score lines are 1/2 inch and 3/4 inch from the ends. So that's the score line here, and the score lines on both of the 5.5-inch edge of the smaller piece. So that's all we're going to need our trimmer for. I'm going to set that out of the way. And let me go ahead and then put the measurements in here. So I've got these marked for you. These are the two pieces, and I've already sort of folded them so you can see where those score lines are. But these are the two sizes that you'll need. So if you want to go ahead and take a screenshot of that, I'll go ahead and keep my hands out of the way so that you can screenshot that. And then I'll go into how do we go ahead and put these together. So again, just to go over the measurements, it's 4 inches by 7.5, and that's our back piece. And we're going to score it. It's 1/2 inch and 3/4 inch from one end, or if you were measuring it this way, it would be 6 3/4 and 7 inches. So either way, I just like remembering the 1/2 and 3/4 of an inch. And then the same with this one. I went ahead and I put the measurements across here. So it's a 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch, 4 3/4, and 5 inches. But you can also, just like I did, 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch, turn it around 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch. So there's that one, 4 1/2 by 5 1/2. All right, I'm gonna scooch that out of the way, and we're gonna get started with our copper clay version. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab a bone folder and I'm gonna burnish on each of my score lines. Just go ahead and get those folded like that. The same thing with this one. On all 4 of those score lines, we're just gonna fold and burnish. Fold and burnish. And fold and burnish. Okay. So now this is what I've got. I've got this little piece here, and I've got this little piece here. And you can sort of start to see how this is going to go together. It's going to go in like that, and there's how your holder's going to go together. So the way that I do this, I use tear and tape. Now you could also use Seal or Seal Plus. Actually today I think I will just go ahead and use Seal Plus and just show you how to use that. But what I like to do is I like to sort of put it together so I know what it's going to look like. And then we're going to go ahead and just turn it over and open it up. And I know I need to put some adhesive right along there, and I'm just going to put a long strip of Seal Plus across there, very strong adhesive. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take this inside score line on each side, and we're going to line that up with this edge, and then we're going to line this edge with the score line, and this is the 1/2 inch score line, not the 3/4 of an inch score line. Okay, so we just have that one tab on the outside. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. Just going to line that up without putting my head in the camera, and I'm going to give that a press, and then you can see here's our holder back together. And then what we're going to do next is we're going to need adhesive on each of these. Now since I'm using the Seal Plus, I'm only going to put adhesive on one side at a time. When I use the tear and tape, I go ahead and put it on, but I just don't take off the paper off of one side. But I'll just do this one side at a time just so you can sort of see how that works. And all you're going to do is just fold this to line up that corner and line up this edge. So I just sort of feel that the edge is lined up. It doesn't have to be absolutely perfect. Nobody's going to notice. And then I'm going to give that a press. Okay. And then we're going to do the exact same thing over here. We're going to put adhesive, and then we're going to line it up and do that. And it just flips in. It's not hard to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and put my adhesive on here. Whoops, I went across that line, so I'm just going to fold my adhesive back a little so that it doesn't cross that line. There we go. And then I'm going to tuck it in, line up my corner, my edge, and go ahead and give that a press. Now I will say that because you can't press here, I do recommend taking something like a bone folder and just give it a little press inside with the bone folder just to make sure that you've made good contact with that edge, and so that will stick for you. And that's it. You've made the holder. Pretty simple. And all that's left now is to decorate it. So what I did, because I'm making 30 of these for Thanksgiving, I went ahead and I had a die cutting session, and I die cut out a whole bunch of pumpkins. These were actually the pick-a-punch, or the builder punch, I'm sorry, the builder punch that goes with the pick of the patch bundle. So I used this stamp set, these stamps here, for stamping these, and then I used the punch to punch them out, and the punch also punches the stem and the leaves out as well. So I just punched them out using scraps of paper that I had, some designer series, nice shiny paper, as well as just scraps of everything else. So you can see that it's a whole variety of colors. Some of them there's only 2 or 3, some of them there's more. I just used up whatever scraps I had. I pulled off some pieces of ribbon and just tied some bows so that I'd have a selection of bows if I want a bow on the holder. And then the other thing I did was I took the autumn leaves bundle and I cut out a whole bunch of the different leaves. Some of them are stamped in the same color of ink as the cardstock. And again, this was all scrap cardstock that I had. I just took my scrap bin and pulled out anything that looked fallish, and I die cut whatever I could get out of it. So I cut some big ones, and then with the smaller pieces, I fit in the little leaves as well. And so I cut all of those out. And then I also, I'm sorry, let me show you that bundle. That was this bundle, the autumn leaves bundle that I used, and I used both dies and stamps from this bundle. So that's autumn leaves, and that's in our annual catalog, or I'm sorry, that's in our holiday catalog, the one that's good just through the end of December. And then these are actually flowers from a retired die set. It's actually Apple Harvest, I think is what it's called, but it's retired. But you could use any kind of small flower die or punch. The Petal Park punch, which is a little flower builder punch, that would be great. Anything like that. I just wanted something a little bit different than the pumpkins and leaves. I haven't used any of those yet, but I thought I might use some of those at some point. So that's what I did. Now, again, you don't have to use die cuts like I did, and you don't have to use ribbon. You don't have to put bows on it. It's totally personal preference how you want to decorate it. You could certainly stamp a design on your cardstock. You would want to do that before you assemble it. You could also take layers. So, you know, make a layer that you would put on here just like you would do a card front, and then put a sentiment or something like that on there. You could stamp something and color it and then put it on here. So many options that you could do. And I plan to do some of those options, but for right now, I just thought I would do these. So I think for this one, we're going to go ahead and do, actually, I think we'll do some leaves for this one. And I like to do colors that are not the same. So I probably won't put anything that's this close to the copper clay on here, but something that's a little contrasting. So maybe that, and maybe a little bit of foil. I'm just going to pull a few of these out and see what they look like. Maybe a great big green leaf would be pretty. And maybe something red. I don't know if I like the red. It kind of blends in. Maybe, let me pull this forward a little. Maybe yellow. Maybe moody mauve. Or maybe a small, if we have something small in moody mauve, yeah. Something like this. Maybe in moody mauve. That kind of gets lost as well. Ooh, I bet you the Calypso coral would look pretty. Yeah, that might look nice. So I think we'll go with some of those. I don't know if I'll use all of those or not. We'll just kind of look at them and see what we think. Or maybe a pumpkin. Yeah, I kind of like that better than the Calypso coral. So I like to dry fit them on here. And maybe we'll do something more, do I want to do something symmetrical? I don't know if I want to do something symmetrical, but let's just go ahead and see what we do here. No, I don't like that. I'm not a symmetrical kind of person. I like to have variety. And I think I want that to be see if I could tuck this one perhaps, and tuck this one, and then, oh, actually maybe I want something that kind of goes across here. Who knows? I could spend hours doing this. Honestly, I could spend hours. I won't for your benefit, but I think I'm gonna do something like that, something that shape. So I love dimensionals, and so I'm going to use dimensionals, and I've actually got, excuse me, I've got a couple of dimensional packs that are very close to being gone, but I'm using up the pieces on here. So we're just gonna use up the pieces of my edges. Always use up your edges on your dimensionals. They are wonderful. So I'm just gonna pull these back a little, and I think I'll put my green one down first. I'll stick a couple of pieces of dimensionals on the green one. I also tend to go overboard on my dimensionals. You do whatever is comfortable for you. You don't have to put as many as I put on here, but I do a lot. So I'm gonna put those dimensionals on, and we'll go ahead and stick this in the middle, and then we'll start building. Now, if I wanted to put a ribbon behind it, I would need to do that now. And the way I did the ribbon on this one so that it would be clean on the back is I wrapped it from the back, and so the frayed ends or the open ends are under here, and then I just covered them with the design. So that's an option. So I'm gonna go ahead and just put this in the middle, and then I still want this up on a dimensional. There, we'll just put one on him. So he can, you have to think about if you're overlapping, that you don't overlap the dimensional unless you really want it stacked. So I wanted this one to be sort of, I like showing that stem, but I don't really want it on top. So maybe we'll do that. And then I kind of just want these to look like they're just falling. So we're gonna do something like that. Get some dimensionals on here, and that's all of that one. Okay. Oops. Making all kinds of piles of dimensionals. Do you guys carry these around the house with you? I do. I find them all over the house. I'm gonna tuck that one like that. And then, do I want him this way? I kind of feel like I want him, maybe I don't want him on there at all. Or maybe I want something smaller. Yes, I think I want something smaller down here. That's kind of floating down there. Okay, we'll go with that. And this. Again, you don't have to put as many dimensionals as I do. I just tend to use a lot. Let me put this yellow one on first. And we're gonna have him, I think I want them tumbling this way. So I'm gonna have him tumbling this way. And then I think I might have this one, I think I might have that one tumbling as well. Yeah, I think I want him something like that. Don't want him straight up. All right. I think I'm gonna put him like that. So he is stacked up on top of the other dimensionals, and I probably should have done double dimensionals underneath there, but I think that'll be okay. All right, I like that. So now I need something up here. Now you'll notice on mine, I'm sort of leaving a little bit of space at the bottom because I may do these as place settings and put people's names on them. So I'm sort of leaving that open a little bit, but doesn't have to be open. So I'm gonna try some bows. Nope. And let's see what we like here. Nope. We could do the shiny. We could do the matching. That's the copper clay. That kind of looks nice. Or we could do something very contrasting. I kind of like that one. And then I also like this one. Something very different. Or, oh, I like that one too. This way. Kind of like that one too. And I kind of like that one. Oh boy. Oh, but this one would pull the color right out of that. Okay, I think this is going to be my bow because it pulls the color right out of this DSP. It's not exactly the same because I think this is Pretty Peacock and this ribbon is Lost Lagoon, but it's close enough. So I think I'm going to put that there. So I use a glue dot for that. This is just a mini glue dot, and I'm just gonna stick that on there, pull it off, make sure that it's kind of hidden, and we'll go ahead and stick that there. And you can always stick your finger in just to make sure, and I'm gonna leave those ends the way they are because I kind of like that. Now the only thing left on this one that I can think of would be if I want to do anything up here to the corners. Now you'll notice on the ones that I did already, one of them I cut straight on the corner. That was with the Very Best Trio punch. It has a pretty scalloped corner and just a straight corner that you could use, so that's an option. We could use that. Or I also have a corner rounder. Mine actually is the Crocodile Corner Chomper, but any corner rounder that you have, Stampin' Up! Doesn't sell one, but I have this one. There's one on Amazon that's a little, kind of a little triangle one like this that has 3 corners. But this one has 2 different corners and you can kind of see one of them's a wider and one of them's a narrower. So I like that as well. So I could do that if I wanted to, but I kind of think I'm gonna leave this one as is for right now. I can always do that later if I wanted to. So let me clear my spot here and get some things out of the way. So I think this is gonna be my final holder for today. So I have these cheapy napkins that I bought for this occasion. Just because I wanted something plain. Now you may want a fancy Thanksgiving one or something like that, but I was really, I knew I was going to use color to decorate, so I wanted one that was plain. Let me see if I have, yep, I have some flatware here. One more set that I can use in my samples. And so you can put these in any way that you want, however you want. But there are my utensil holders for Thanksgiving so far, 4 out of 30. So I have a little ways to go. Thank you so much for joining me today. Please send me an email or comment below if you have any questions. Go visit my blog for all the details, measurements, assembly instructions, and everything. I have some other ideas in there. There's some pictures there, or certainly come back to this video and watch it as you make yours. And let me know what you think. Let me know if you're going to use this. I would love to hear, or send me an email and send me a picture. I'd love to have that as well. So thank you so much, and I'll see you next time.